fashion and sports and outdoor in the future, it needs to be more sustainable in every way. And I think this is where we want to be.
Hello and welcome to the Retail Alchemists. I'm Deborah Langley.
And I'm Greg Merrill. And today we have with us Bård Kvamme with Norrøna. Welcome, Bård.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us. So as you know, our listeners are all over the world, but right now we're in New York City. And for many of our US listeners that aren't familiar with Norrøna, can you start by giving us an update on what's the company? Tell us the story, the background, and then after that, we're going to get into a little bit about you.
Yeah, so Norrøna is a premium Norwegian outdoor brand. It was established all the way back in 1929, so we're getting close to our birthday, 100 years. We are privately owned, family-owned, fourth generation owner. We have currently 39 stores around the world, pretty big e-com, wholesale distribution, and we are mainly focused on premium outdoor activities. Main focus is skiing, snowboarding, trail running, mountaineering, hiking, and we even do surfing stuff. So it is a proper outdoor brand, and I guess for the core community, I think Norrøna is pretty well known. But of course, the main reason also for doing stores all over the world is also kind of to build the brand and create more awareness around the brand for the future generations of outdoor people. And we are also currently one of the top partners with Gore-Tex in the world. So we are mainly targeting the most professional users, the hardcore users of the outdoor activity gear.
Okay, so premium stuck out to me, and I think we're going to talk about what is a premium brand. But maybe just to finish on the Norrøna piece, for our U.S. listeners, compare Norrøna to maybe a U.S. company, just to give it perspective.
Yeah, I think our closest comparison in the U.S. would be Arc'teryx. They are at least like the closest one kind of on activities. Arc'teryx, of course, is a big company compared to Norrøna, but that would be the closest comparison, and especially also with the Gore-Tex and kind of the mountaineering stuff. Those would be the closest one.
And how many stores do you have in the US now?
Currently, we have 4 stores. So we have our flagship store on Green Street in Soho. We have a store in Boulder in Colorado. We recently opened a store in Boston back in May on Newbury Street. And then we also have an outlet store in a place called Castle Rock, just south of Denver. So 4 stores. And then, of course, we hope to do more stores in the future. Could be Salt Lake City, could be Seattle, could be Chicago. So we are currently looking at more cities to expand our footprint in the US.
I have so many questions, but maybe before we jump into those, I'd love to know a little bit more about you and how you came to this particular role.
Yeah, so I guess I've always been a retail guy from I was like, 12, 13, selling newspapers, and I love selling stuff in general. I've always been selling something, so I kind of like that idea. And I ended up working in retail for a Danish group called Bestseller that has stores like Vermoda, Jack & Jones, like kind of, fast-moving fashion. Was shop manager. I also actually worked 1 year in IT, which is a bit strange because I don't really know anything about IT, or not enough to work in IT, at least. I was a country manager for the Norwegian stores for some years, and then I started working internationally with a brand called Stokke that has it's a juvenile kids brand with trip-trap chairs, and also doing stores all over the world, and then also working with Apple premium resellers, and been working now with Norrøna for the last 5 years. I am a retailer by heart. I love retail. I think it's the coolest job out there, the coolest thing to work with. And I also have a special passion for kind of trying to bring Norwegian brands also out to the world. Norway is, of course, a small country. It has always been a lot of focus on salmon and gas and oil. So the list of kind of Norwegian consumer brands is pretty short. So it's kind of, it also feels a bit like also being kind of a Norwegian ambassador, actually bringing these small Norwegian brands out in the world and try to expand the footprint.
A couple of the things that we're going to talk about are sort of unified commerce, the consumer experience, and sort of global business expansion strategy. But all of those are things that you do on top of a firm foundation of what the brand is. So I want to go back to the word premium that came out and explain a little bit more. What does a premium brand mean? What for Norrøna, and how do you express that in a consistent manner, especially as you have physical retail stores and operations and digital? And how do you maintain a seamless premium level consumer experience across channels?
Yeah, so I think the starting point for Norrøna is, of course, and probably for many brands, is actually the ownership, the way that we are owned. And we are a family-owned company, and we're working long-term. We have a strong financial foundation, family-owned, long-term, so we don't really have to take these quick decisions about campaign and discounts and kind of making rash decisions about distribution or doing the crazy stuff. So I think this family-owned is kind of giving us the stability of actually being a brand who is building like step by step. We're not rushing into anything. And when talking about the premium, I think that is kind of the overarching mantra internally of being premium with everything we do. We are very selective with wholesale distribution. We're very selective with staff, very selective with retail locations. We don't have to establish stores, but we do it because we can and it makes sense. Our full price stores, we never have any discounts, any campaigns. So, buying Norrøna, you will know that the jacket you're buying is not coming on a discount the next week. It is full price concept. And then, of course, everything we do needs to be on the highest level. Internally, we have 7-8 developers running our e-com. We're doing a lot of the digital development ourselves because we have an owner who strongly believes that we can do it better. So we do these things ourselves to keep it exactly how we want. And I think that is kind of the overarching mantra of the company to be premium in everything you do. And of course, we also have a vision of making the world's greatest outdoor products. So that's what we do every day, try to make the best products out there. And of course, then it's not an easy job to do it, but it's kind of something that is really fun and inspiring to work with.
Well, when we spoke earlier, you mentioned that you guys have repaired something like 200,000, 20,000. What was the number?
We
in the last year.
Norrøna, of course, we have an 8-year guarantee for all our products. So I mean, if you buy a jacket,
10 if you're a VIP.
Yes,
right?
if you're a loyalty member, you will get it even longer. But we have a effectively 10 years guarantee if you're a loyalty member for all our products. Meaning that if you buy a Gore-Tex jacket and you something breaks or the zipper is loose, we will fix it for free, of course. And last year we did roughly 20,000 repairs. So of course, some of our products are a little bit more expensive, but you will have it way longer. So we are the opposite of the kind of fast-moving fashion. And the interesting thing is that, I guess in 2025, almost all brands are kind of jumping into repair and sustainability. And I think, they have to from a marketing perspective. A good thing about Norrøna is that Norrøna has been doing repairs all the way back since 1929. So it's not a marketing-driven initiative, or I'm not going to mention any other brands here, but some brands seems to kind of just start repair like 10 minutes ago. And for Norrøna, it's been kind of a part of the company for almost 100 years.
Can I ask a little bit more about how that actually works? So if I bring in my product from 1929, there's not going to be any tracking in it, right? But if I bring in last year's product, there's a chip or some kind of tracking mechanism.
Yeah, we still get products that were bought back in 1940s, 1950s, backpacks and stuff, and it is kind of a challenge with spare parts and stuff because we're not producing it anymore, and we haven't been producing it for a long time. But we're still fixing those products, and we are also doing, we are doing repairs on all Norrøna products, also products that are sold through wholesale or different channels. So overall, we repair all the products, and of course, it's easier to trace the products when they're newer. But the guarantee is the guarantee, and if you come in with a backpack from 1940, we will probably do it for free because it's just a cool story, and we'll put it on Instagram. But you don't have to pay; you will fix your backpack.
I wanted to pick on that because. Yesterday, Deborah and I had the opportunity to go to the Explorers Club in New York City and have a tour. And there was just such rich history going back to, I think it was 1904. And they have this concept where there's 242 flags. And of the Explorers Club, there's about 4,000 active members, and they are, science-based and explorers, and they go and do research projects. And if they go on an expedition, they'll take one of these flags with them and sort of help track the story of these flags as objects that have now gone to Mount Everest or, explored the Mariana Trench and things like that. So, with this rich history of Norrøna and the idea of a backpack from 1940 and the history behind this article, this item, that feels like rich kind of content that you all could use to speak to your community and, whether it's through social channels or whatever. Can you talk a little bit more about how you are engaging and nurturing your, current customers and the community that sort of would align to the brand vision, tying it to the deep history that I hear you talking about?
I think you're touching into a really important point because I think the storytelling of the brand is crucial to understand the brand. And in all our stores, we have what we call the history walls. So this is kind of telling the story all the way back since 1929 up until today. We also do the same online, so you can very easily kind of access the history of Norrøna and kind of the background and the foundation of the company. So you can kind of see the journey. And not being a retailer that is doing campaigns or discounts, of course, we need to find other tools to kind of engage customers and build the brand. So last year we did roughly 200 retail events, in-store events, having customers, communities kind of coming to the store. I'm happy to say that none of the events were sales events. Of course, we sell products, but there's no discounts or anything. Remember, you get a coffee or you get a beer or you get a Coke Zero. But we use these events actually to tell the story of the brand, and we have our Norrøna ambassadors. We have a big group of Norrøna ambassadors. They will talk about the trips they've been on, the expeditions they're going on, and everything is kind of building around the brand and the brand's history. And I think this is extremely important for us to be able to communicate the brand. We don't have the resources of like the bigger competitors, so we need to do this in a smart way. And I strongly believe that for us, physical retail is the only way to kind of get the customers kind of engaged into the brand. And of course, then later, many of them shop online, they shop with wholesalers, but they have the physical stores to actually be able to kind of show the brand and engage the customers. I think that is crucial. We spend a lot of resources on communicating and having dialogue directly with our loyal customers.
Tell us a bit about these physical stores, because we know that Norrøna House is a multifunction space, and you mentioned also Norrøna Travel or Adventure as a way to extend that physical experience. So how do you build, or how do you decide what to build, and how do you bring people into that experience?
I think I should mention that we have the owner of Norrøna, Jørgen Jørgensen, is a very visionary owner, and of course he is also the family owner. The story behind the Norrøna House is that we had our offices in Oslo since 2013, I think. Then a big space of the offices or below the offices became vacant during Corona. We looked at a space and decided that this is actually our chance to kind of build like a proper Norrøna House experience. So we built roughly 2,600 square meters with a flagship store, cafe, auditorium, even a Norrøna restaurant. There is a climbing gym in the house. We even built a storm lab. We can actually go into like a Norwegian storm, 22 meters of wind and a lot of rain.
That's cool.
Which is kind
the
of
right gear, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Non-competitors are going into the storm lab. Now, so you can come there. You can test our Gore-Tex products, in the rain, which is a pretty cool feature. The Norrøna House is not on a high street location. So this is more like a destination store. So it is important to have these kind of special features in a way to make sure that people are coming. And also the combination with the climbing gym is great. I think it seems to me like climbing gyms are popping up all over the world, and it's kind of a really kind of fast-moving trend with climbing. So this, and of course the store is roughly 800 square meters. So we have all our products. We also have our re-initiatives, like, reuse products and also redesign products. So this store is kind of a little bit different than the others. This is a store where we're kind of testing the different new ideas and new concepts. In 2019, we went into the travel industry. So we established a company called Norrøna Adventure. And that is kind of the parts of that company. We are doing guided tours in Norway, typically Lofoten or, up north with people want to go skiing or mountaineering or hiking or biking. We're also doing expeditions to various countries around the world, guided tours. And then we're also currently working on setting up 5 resorts up in Lofoten and Senja up north in Norway. And typical customer could be a US customer, German, internationally traveling in, being picked up at the airport, taken around, full service, getting skiing one day, going on the ship or the Norrøna boat the next day, then going hiking, then going running. So you will kind of be taken around. And of course, everything is premium, as we said. So it's high quality food, high quality service, and kind of a full Norrøna experience. And for us, this is simply about creating a 360-degree experience of the brand. So we want our loyal customers to not only buy the pant and the jacket, but also kind of be a part of the experience and the trips and kind of the emotional aspect of actually the bonfire or being with your friends skiing. We would like to create a 360-degree experience of the whole brand.
So Deborah, we've got our next field trip lined up. It sounds like. Bård, let me sort of building on this adventure and experience. I spent a lot of my career at Nike, where Nike had the House of Innovation concept, where they was large format kind of retail doors with experiences in them. For instance, in Shanghai, you can go in and there's essentially half a basketball court in there with this very interactive, capability. So there are other kind of brands and retailers out there doing this. But one that we saw recently, REI, who had their sort of, a retailer who had their experience side of their business that they recently shut down. Now, I know it's probably different than what you're talking about, but why is now the right time to move more into this adventure travel, fully immersive brand experience when others are kind of pulling out?
Yeah, and I've also seen the article about REI, and also it seems like a big organization with people. I think we are building this step by step, so we're not taking like enormous risk. We're kind of trying to build it step by step. I think for us, this is not really looking at the competitors, but just looking at Norrøna. This is the way we need to go to kind of make the brand bigger and more well known and creating more brand awareness. And I think for me, it's a totally natural thing to actually, we're selling products for hiking and skiing and mountaineering, and for the brand also to be a part of the trips and the expeditions. I think that is a totally kind of natural connection. But I guess it should be scaled in a sensible way, not doing too many things at the same time. But especially what we see in Norway, and of course Norway is the main focus market for us. We have record high numbers of tourists coming, partly because the Norwegian currency is weaker. So you actually get Norway is actually pretty cheap for the US customers at the moment. And of course, a lot of Asian tourists also want to come and experience the midnight sun, the winter, the Arctic, which is kind of almost like exclusive to a lot of people around the world, because this is very different. For Norwegians, it's not that exciting, I think, because we live there, right? But to see the northern lights in the Arctic in the winter is fantastic. So a very natural thing for us to kind of to be a part of the adventures of our loyal customers.
Bård, you're actually in bringing customers into these kinds of experiences, you're actually collecting considerable data insights into their preferences, their sentiments, their interests. How do you take that data, marry it with what the customer may be doing online or in social, and create that 360 view of them that's then fed into, I guess, product development, marketing, etc.? How does that work?
Yeah, we are, of course, collecting a lot of data, and we have a loyalty program with roughly 300,000 members. And of course, being a part of the community, we are collecting a lot of data. And I think we are utilizing this in our product development, in our retail strategies, and kind of just like gathering the data and kind of trying to find good usage for it. I think we are also a little bit conservative because we don't want to push our customers too much, because we are a premium brand, but we're trying to use all these insights kind of to develop our own strategy and also the product strategy and for retail and for online. So I think it's I think all brands should be a little bit cautious about almost like using the data too much, because that sometimes become very pushy, right? And we like to use the data to understand our customers and understand how we can develop the brand and the products in a good, sustainable, and also profitable way.
Are there, picking on that a little bit more, any specific insights or use cases you can share? I fully appreciate the balance between hey, our cell phones are always on listening to everything we're saying, and now we're getting, advertisements for stuff. That's kind of creepy. The flip side of that is the balance of, hey, I would like a personalized shopping experience, including product that's relevant to me and that I would, sort of dazzle and delight me. So I appreciate your comment around there is a fine balance there. Are there any specific insights that you all have seen from your data that sort of say, this is a way that we can surprise and delight our consumer, even if it's just through product recommendations that they hadn't even maybe thought about, but based on their past search history or their purchase history with you all, it would be reasonable.
I think it is very logical. Of course, we're looking at the purchase history from our loyal customers to see what they buy, and of course we have different collections. So many of our customers are very closely linked to the collections. And of course the collections are linked to activities, right? And very few customers are doing all the activities. So there's kind of they're kind of a niche customers. And of course, then we use this data to also, for email to follow up on products you have bought or new products coming in the collection that you are following and that they're already a customer from. So I think that is a good way of kind of creating a good service without being too pushy. Interesting perspective for me. I also work with the real estate part of Norrøna Retail, and of course also utilizing our loyalty data, our online data for also thinking about where to establish retail stores and where do we have markets. And for Norrøna, it's sometimes online is going first. Other times the physical retail is going first, and then online is following. And I think for us, it's very, very easy to see that every time we establish a store, if this is in Zurich or New York, of course, then at the same time, the online business is scaling much faster in the same area. So for us, online retail is not either or, but it's kind of the combination of those two. And also then having really strong wholesale partners also helping building the brand. So I think a lot of these data gives us insights to understand our customers and also understand the markets. And of course, then we're also looking sometimes at external data for markets and buying power, which is also important for us to understand, the buying power of the markets. So I think we are collecting a lot of data that we are utilizing, but for sure in the future, I guess we could utilize it even more, I think.
So it sounds like these communities kind of come together organically as you push into a new market. Do you see that eventually you'll be monitoring, obviously, social and what the communities are saying in terms of maybe new product, new services? Is that one way you see a better use of information that you have?
I think we have a really good customer experience department, and a lot of our customers are contacting Norrøna with their comments and with their proposals, and we are we always try to be humble because we are for the customers, right? We need to be careful. We're not ever we are not better than the customers think we are. So we receive a lot of feedback about products and product development, and a lot of this feedback is also taken into the process and the discussions about new products and how to develop them. Norrøna maybe is a little bit different, and I mentioned like the fast-moving fashion, which we are not, but a normal kind of product development setup for Norrøna would be for a new product could be up to 3 years developing a product.
Okay.
So during that time, these products are also tested with our ambassadors, like in the Arctic, in the snow, in the ski hills, in the mountains, to make sure that the products are as good as they can be.
Right.
So we have a very low percentage of claims, and because the products have been tested thoroughly. So this feedback from real life customers, ambassadors, is also extremely important, kind of to further develop the products, and even like small details like pockets or zippers. So it needs to be perfect, right, for the users. So we are working with high quality, but we're not working super fast. So we're not really acting on, trend colors. We're more like following our own plan about making the world's greatest outdoor products.
So a 3-year sort of product development life cycle, it's long. It's not unheard of, especially for a brand that's been around for almost 100 years. The subtext to that, and what I hear you saying, is function over fashion, right? And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but there's a balance, right? Because when you look at the fast fashion and what, the younger generations of consumers and how quickly culture changes and trends change, and, you're injecting kind of new designs, almost on a monthly basis. Seasonal is gone. Certainly multi-year is unheard of. So how do you balance the idea? And I haven't heard you say fashion, so I know that that's probably not part of the brand strategy. Is we want to be, streetwear fashionable. This is highly technical performance, gear for adventures and outdoor sports. But how do you balance the need to have highly functional, high performance materials and gear and construction that takes 3 years with consumers wanting more things available quickly, whether it's different colors or different style changes and things like that? Do you all think about that, or how do you strike that balance?
course, it is always internal discussion, but I guess the strategy is very clear that we are not a fashion brand. We're making products for the extreme users. We're making the world's greatest products for the extreme users, and they need to be the best products out there. So we're not really following trends. Of course, we are looking at our competitors, and of course, seeing what's going on in the markets. But part of the strategy is actually kind of to have this plan and then stick to the plan, and of course, thinking long term and kind of building the brand step by step. And I totally agree with you. We were, thinking about the Chinese Temu and the Shine and all these kind of there is a totally different segment and a totally different way of doing business. I like to think that we are we want to be the opposite. We want to create great products that will last for 10, 15, 20 years, and you come back and repair it if it's damaged. And it should be, maybe it's kind of the contrast to the fast moving, that you actually have a brand like Norrøna that you will trust, and you will have the products, and you will tell all your friends about your great jacket or your great backpack. So for sure, of course, we are also making typical t-shirts, shorts, these kind of products that are not like not the same level as the Gore-Tex, but they should also last for many years, because we need to be more sustainable. And I think the idea of just buying a jacket and using it one time and throwing it out, it doesn't have anything to do with Norrøna. And I think for fashion and sports and outdoor in the future, it needs to be more sustainable in every way. And I think this is where we want to be.
Well, that's all incredibly exciting, and I'm reluctant to ask this next question, but I have to ask it, which is that as you expand globally, and particularly into the US, which is a competitive and complex market, what are the hard things that you think about and that will challenge you in the near term?
I think there are several things, kind of dark skies. For Norrøna, of course, our biggest challenge is, of course, building the brand awareness in new markets. That is a challenge. And of course, we don't have the resources of our biggest competitors, so we need to do this in a smarter way and building it step by step through customers and retail locations and ambassadors. So building the brand awareness is kind of the biggest challenge for us. And it is we see it is very successful when we are able to do it. And in home markets and in Europe, we have a very strong brand. In the US, we're still new, so that is kind of a big challenge. Other things we're seeing, of course, the geopolitics will be interesting. There was an election in this country not long ago.
There was?
Someone told me about it. Small election. Probably that would be a different podcast, right? To go into that. That's not
what
this
we're
podcast.
doing.
No, enough time for that.
But of course, then listening to the new president talking about changing tariffs and customs and even buying islands, and I don't know, he's talking a lot. But of course, for us, the business side of customs and tariffs could have a big influence. So we will just have to see how this goes. And this, of course, is not only for Norrøna. This will be the same for the competitors. But it is a very dynamic landscape, and of course, we need to pay attention and make sure that we make the right decisions. And the custom thing is a challenge, and I think in general we live in it is a strange time. We have a war in Europe, not too far away from Norway, which is really strange. We're a very peaceful country, but there's a big war going on in Ukraine. The Russia problem is also with China and the US. I think there are several challenges that could also influence our business and production and customs and financials. So I think we need to pay attention and stay awake and see what's going to happen.
So sticking with this theme of challenges and dark skies, as you put it, Deborah and I have both backgrounds in sort of early stage companies, startups, entrepreneurial, and large corporations that are publicly traded. So coming back to, you talked a little bit about the benefits and the advantages of having a family run and owned, privately held business. Let's talk about the hard things within there. What makes that hard? What makes that challenging?
I would say if you look at some of our competitors, and again, I'm not going to mention names, but of course someone is expanding, some of our competitors are expanding extremely rapidly and putting millions and millions and millions into retail footprints and online and kind of building really quick. We are a family-owned company. We have a strong financial foundation, but we also need to make the money to invest the money, right? So, of course, having endless amounts of money, we could for sure get a rapid growth way quicker. But that is not our strategy. And of course, we are building the company for the next 100 years. So it needs to be financially stable. We don't want to take too much risk. So we need to balance this out. And it is interesting to seeing, some brands are coming really fast. Almost like out of nowhere, they're popping up, and it's a bit of a shame, I guess, for the marketeers who have been building a brand for 20 years, and then in 5 minutes on TikTok there is a brand coming up just passing that 20-year-old brand. So it is an interesting time, right? And like the collab with the Skims and North Face, for example. I was not really aware of Skims. I guess I'm not really a customer either, but I'm not really aware of that brand before it suddenly hits my Instagram and TikTok, and it's all over the place, right? And these brands are being built so quickly and so rapidly that it's almost scary, I think. I'm not a marketeer, but I would guess that some marketeers are kind of almost like scared and surprised about how these things are developing. But again, we are on the other side, and we're building a family-owned business, and we will continue kind of to be stable and building it step by step. So we don't want to jump in kind of to the quick solutions. I think we are strong believers of kind of building the strong platform and then developing from there. So maybe we are, a little bit like the salmon who is swimming up the river here, and maybe a little bit different. But I strongly believe that is a way of also, if you're looking at the luxury brands, and kind of building the stability around the brand. And we don't want to be a brand who comes up too fast and then falls down again. We want to be stable, and we are not into fashion. We're into making the world's greatest outdoor products. So I think this is kind of our mission in this industry.
Actually, just picking up on your comment about Skims, which is $4 billion brand here. Have you thought about, one of the things that made Skims so successful, not just the fact that it came out of the Kardashian family, but it made a very strong proposition around diversity. So that was racial diversity, size diversity, age diversity. How do you think that plays into, or does it play into, what you're thinking of when you're thinking about the Norrøna brand and maintaining its longevity?
Yeah, good question. I think for us, we are a Norwegian company, and I think the Scandinavian culture is a very open culture. It is a very diverse culture, and I think we're also, of course, when we travel the world with retail stores and online, and then wherever we do, yes, we are exporting products, yes, we are exporting a brand, but we're also exporting a culture and also a working culture. So for us, I think the diversity issue is not really an issue, because it's a part of what we do. This is a part of who we are. It's not really something we focus a lot on, because we are a very kind of open company. And it's not really about where you're coming from. It's more about the activities, and if you enjoy nature. That is kind of the overarching thing. And I think that is kind of a part of the Scandinavian culture, I would say. It's not like a USP or something for us. It's just a part of the company and who we are.
And do you see that within your customer base? If you try to kind of segment and understand deeply who's purchasing your items, where they live, what their background, what their other common interests and things are, is that you all have a consumer insights and a data insights team that's deeply looking at, who these people are? Absolutely.
And I think, absolutely. And we have a lot of, our own insights, and also the external insights we're looking at when it comes to buying power and outdoor interest. And of course, I guess the sweet spot for Norrøna would be, good buying power and good outdoor interest. This is kind of our sweet spot, right? So, looking at the data, we establish stores, we establish new wholesale contacts, we focus, online on digital marketing, for example, into these areas, geographical areas. And I think this is our way of kind of developing the business. But as I said before, sometimes online is going first, retail is coming later. Sometimes retail is going first, so it doesn't have to be the same recipe every time. But it's also, of course, a big important project for us also to introduce new customers to the brand. So of course, we need to expand the brand into new markets and into new customers. I don't think Norrøna is probably not a well-known outdoor brand for people who think a jacket is a jacket. It's a well-known brand for people who are focusing on functionality and design, and also the activities. And then you probably know about Norrøna. So using the data to develop the brand, extremely important. And I think we are doing it. Probably we can do it even better, I guess. But it's understanding the customer, of course, is an extremely important part of what we have to do in 2025.
Okay, last question?
I got two more.
Oh, you can tell. Of course you do. Okay, my last question is, What do you know now that you wish you had known 5 years ago, say when you started on this expansion journey?
Ooh, 5 years ago.
Oh,
Then I wish I knew about Corona, to be honest. No one told me about Corona 5 years ago. So.
Me neither.
No. No, I don't think we're not really looking back. But of course, it's sometimes, very often in retail, you're extremely positive about what you do and the projects, and very often things tends to take longer. You need to work harder on it than the initial idea is like, let's do this quick, and this business case is fantastic, and tung tung tung. But then it will take longer, and for us, as coming back to kind of the challenges, again, like building the awareness and building awareness with customers for a premium brand, it is challenging, and it's not. There is no quick fix to it. This is hard work every day. The best service in our CX department, the best service in retail stores, the best deliveries, kind of building the brand experience, and this takes time. And I could wish that sometimes the customer would be like a little bit quicker to get it. That would be my wish.
I always wish my customers were quicker.
Customers just like understand, can just Google it themselves and get it. But the customers are, examples of, if you have a store in a city and you move the store, 500 meters, customers are 10 years later still coming back to the old location and saying, where's the store? It's like, come on, guys, come on, be a little bit more engaged here.
You gotta spoon feed them. You gotta spoon feed us. So we're dumb.
So that I think that is probably a challenge for all retailers, kind of we have so many stories to tell, and the customers are they are all over the place, and they are with different brands, and it's maybe not paying attention. So just to kind of get the customer attention, being able to communicate and tell the brand stories, and I think we strongly believe that when we're able to do that, then we very often win, because we have great products and a great story and great people and great service within the company. So 5 years ago, I don't know, but it's kind of, I'm still surprised with how long things kind of take in retail with the customers.
So sticking with sort of the global expansion strategy, which we've talked about, a few times here, let's go a little bit deeper in there. And I'm specifically thinking about potential customers or potential partners of Norrøna, that want to sort of see and hear and experience the brand. Obviously, you have social channels. You have your .com. Maybe they're not in a place where they could experience the physical retail. Go a little bit deeper on kind of what the next few years look like in terms of global expansion, where new people may be able to experience physical retail. And, speaking of the consumers or potential customers that want to learn more, where would you tell them to go?
Coming back to kind of the core of the brand, the Norrøna brand is a little bit different than other Norwegian outdoor brands, because we're getting close to 70% of our turnover in export. So we still have a big home market, but more and more is turning into export. Germany has used to be, historically been the biggest market. Now US is passing Germany kind of into that journey. So for us with the global expansion, US is the current biggest focus. And is one of the biggest outdoor markets in the world, and we see enormous potential here. And I think, as you said, we will continue building stores. We still think like this is the best way of actually showing the brand, to have the physical presence, with people, with events. But of course, social media, important for us. YouTube, we have internal photographers, video people making the best and coolest movies out there. So I think YouTube is also a great channel actually to follow Norrøna, and of course Instagram and TikTok, and hopefully all these channels will lead to people coming to the stores or going on a trip with Norrøna Adventure or experience the brand closer. So this could be a good way of engaging them. But thinking about the US, I think there's a lot of cities in the US where Norrøna will not have a store. Let's put it like this, because we need the buying power and the outdoor interest. And both in New York and Boston, Washington, we have the interest and typical customer. You also have it on the other coast with Seattle and all the way down. We have it in the Colorado area, and then of course there are probably a lot of states and cities we're not going into. So we are selective and kind of focusing kind of on the key hubs, and then kind of trying to develop the brand, from the hubs and from out to the rest of the country.
Great. Okay, I've got one more question. And I'm going to bring us full circle to where we started on brand. And a couple of things I'm sort of taking away: premium, sustainability, and timeless. I don't know they use that word, but that's a feeling I get as we're talking, and products that withstand the test of time. And in some ways, the symbiotic nature there is the best way to be sustainable is to create products that live, for as long as the human wearing them. But one question I like to ask, when people experience the Norrøna brand, what do you want them to feel? When they walk out of your retail door, or they've been shopping on your website, or they've experienced the brand in any way, what do you want them to walk away feeling?
I want them to feel like they are a part of the brand, that they are actually close to the brand, and they are also representing the brand. That would be like the ideal scenario for us. And we have a huge amount of returning customers. Our best loyalty members are coming again and again and again, and I feel like they are part of the marketing force in a way. Like they wear the products, they talk about the products, they show it to their friends, and kind of this is also a good way for us kind of to have the really core users representing the brand and talking about the brand. So ideally, we get them as a part of the family. I would say a part of the community.
Okay. Bård from Norrøna, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Bård.
Thank you.